Putrajaya will not be introducing any new additional taxes for now as it seeks to broaden its revenue post-pandemic, says Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz. He adds that the ministry is currently undertaking a study to review the national tax regime and notes that any new introduction of tax such as GST is not the government's priority for now. Zafrul says that local economy is now in a recovery phase and that introducing any new additional tax now is not appropriate. Meanwhile, Zafrul says that Malaysia's statutory debt is expected to hit 58.5% of GDP in 2021 due to the implementation of the 20 billion ringgit Pemekasan stimulus package announced yesterday. He says this is still below the 60% statutory debt limit. Malaysia's fiscal deficit is also expected to rise to 6% of GDP from an earlier estimate of 5.4%. However, Zafrul emphasizes that the country has the ability to reduce its fiscal deficit and that his ministry will continue to focus on consolidation. Retail investors pumped in 14.3 billion into Bursa Malaysia in 2020, making them the biggest investors on the bourse, according to the Securities Commission 2020 Annual Report. In comparison, local institutional investors' net buying was 10.3 billion. Similar to experiences in many other countries, the domestic equity market witnessed exceptional levels of trading by retail investors in 2020. According to the SC, 83% of retail volume in August last year was attributed to stocks priced less than 50 cent, while 75% of retail interest was in ACE market and fledgling stocks. The total market capitalization of the Malaysian equity market rebounded as much as 48.7% or 600 billion to 1.85 trillion on December 16, 2020, from a low of 1.25 trillion on March 19, 2020, when global markets suffered a severe meltdown amid pandemic concerns, according to the SC. Bursa's total market cap grew 6.2% to 1.82 trillion in 2020 from 1.71 trillion in 2019. In total, 10 billion was raised from the equity market last year, up 52% year on year. Meanwhile, a total of 389 companies benefited from the various listing fee waivers last year. For 2021, SC Chairman Datuk Syed Zai Albas says the organisation is keeping a close watch on all rising trends, including a renewed interest in SPACs. The SC is also expecting a healthy pipeline of around 30 initial public offerings for 2021, compared with 19 a year earlier. Celcom Axiata, Digi Telecommunications and Maxis have concluded a definitive agreement to jointly develop and share fibre infrastructure, allowing for faster and more efficient deployment of fibre backhaul to base stations. In a joint statement, the three telcos said the collaboration would enable an improved widespread 4G connectivity and increase the country's fibre infrastructure in line with ambitions under the National Digital Infrastructure Plan. This combining of expertise will also aid in Malaysia's 5G push. The announcement came a year after the three signed an MOU to explore leveraging each other's resources. Celcom CEO Muhammad Idham Nawawi says the partnership marks a major milestone for Celcom in driving its ambitions towards delivering a great and consistent network experience for all. DG CEO Albern Murty says the partnership will bring about opportunities to avoid infrastructure duplication and enable faster network growth, while Maxis CEO Gerhan Ut adds that the telco remains committed to playing a role in supporting the country's digital ambitions. Putrajaya Corp has joined forces with London-based merchant bank and investment firm New World Capital Advisors to provide advisory services in Malaysia. The two have agreed to establish a new company with BCOP subscribing for 40% or $240,000 of the company's founding share capital of $500,000. In a statement, BCOP said NWCA Malaysia will focus on providing advisory services including M&A, strategy and operations advice to diversified businesses businesses, corporations and institutional investors. Lina Tan has been appointed as Chairman and Managing Director of NWCA Malaysia. NWCA is the advisory and merchant banking division of New World Group, which has over $2.5 billion of group asset under management. BCOP founder and EC Tan Sri Vincent Tan says NWCA's financial expertise will further complement the group's existing operations in a broad range of industries. An offshore vessel support company has become the first to be charged with a newly introduced provision which imposes corporate liability under the MACC Act 2009. Pristine Offshore was charged with one count of bribery involving 321,250 ringgit to ensure it was awarded with a subcontract from Petronas Carigali. With the introduction of the amendment, which came into effect on June 1st, 2020, the MACC is now able to directly impose corporate liability on commercial organizations involved in misconduct. Along with the company, its former director, Chew Ben Ben, was also charged with one count of bribery framed under Section 16BA of the Act. Both of the accused pleaded not guilty. If convicted, Pristine Offshore faces a fine of no less than 10 times the amount of the bribe or a prison sentence of not more than 20 years. Any officers of the company, including its directors, are liable to serve the prison sentence on behalf. As for Chew, he may be imprisoned for no longer than 20 years and fined no less than 5 times the amount of the bribe if he is found guilty. It is worth noting that Chew is also the Deputy MD of Datasonic Group, who had previously testified in the corruption trial of former DPM Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi.